I have a question for us because remember, I'm a teacher, not a speaker, so it's quiz time. What are we allowing to fly below the radar? What is it? Take the time to think about it. What are we allowing to fly below the radar? What is it that we're not picking up? You know, this past weekend, I watched Maverick, the new Top Gun movie with Tom Cruise. Oh, actually, it's been out for a while, but it's new to me. And there was one scene in the movie, without telling too much, where they had to fly their planes extremely low to the ground on a mission. And the reason they flew that low was because at that height, they could not be picked up by the radar. And they had to get in behind enemy lines, do what they had to do, and get out within a certain amount of time. And as I watched that movie, I started to think even more, what am I allowing to fly into my life that comes in below the radar? And that's something that I want you to think about. And it also ties into a lesson that I did with my students because once again, I'm a teacher, not a speaker. And today we were talking about genetics and how there are certain traits that are inherited, that are passed down from parents to their children. And many of the traits that we discussed, they were observable. We talked about having an attached or a hanging ear. We talked about having brown eyes. We talked about freckles. We talked about many different characteristics that were observable, and we talked about the significance of identifying those characteristics. And we broke it all the way down to the genetics and the DNA and the importance of studying DNA because yes, we are all made up of a combination of the same thing. And if we understand the way that our DNA is structured, then we could identify if there are genetic diseases and we could work towards preventing those genetic diseases, or how to be in the best position if we're predisposed to those diseases. So back to these inheritable traits, many of them are observable. I could look at your eye color. I could look at your skin complexion. I could look at your hair texture. But then there were some other traits that could not be observed. They could not directly be detected. We talked about something known as PTC. It's something that's found in green vegetables like kale, turnip greens, collard greens. And I actually had a strip of PTC on paper. And in the experiment today, I had all the students put this tiny PTC strip on their tongue and hold it for 10 seconds. Some of the students, they didn't flinch at all. Whereas other students, they were holding in coughs and gags and they were ready to spit it out and could not keep that PTC strip on their tongue for 10 seconds. The reason being, there's certain genes that are tied to PTC. By using that strip of PTC, I was able to determine who contained that gene within the class because there were students that would be classified as either tasters or non-tasters. The non-tasters thought that the paper strip tasted just like that, nothing paper, whereas the students that contained the gene that was triggered by the PTC thought it tasted bitter or like hand sanitizer. So it made me think there are some traits that we are not able to detect, and those are just as important as the traits that we observe, the ones that we see all the time, the ones that are easy for us to detect and differentiate between other individuals. Do not allow anything just to simply fly below the radar because it could be imperative to your life or it could be the cause of your demise. Now remember, I'm a teacher, not a speaker, and I want you to have an amazing day.